Today you'll hear how a guy fresh out of college maxed out his credit cards, cashed in his birthday bonds, bought 3 tents, and started hauling them around in his mom's SUV. With no real plan and no idea it would turn into a career. Our guest is Adam, known as the Tent Guy, running a party and event rental operation in New York. In this episode, why is the tent just the bread and everything under it is where the real money is? Why he walked away from making $150,000 a year in catering equipment, and how he discovered he's paying 13% in hidden fees. If you're thinking about event rentals, or you're already doing it and trying to figure out what it's actually worth, this one will help you see it clearer. This is the Rent It Out podcast, where real people share how they make money renting out everyday items. I'm your host, Cal Hardage. No fluff, just what works. For 10 seconds about my business with Loaded Trailers, the trailer rental business is very much like the event rental business. The customers are out there looking, they're searching Google for it, or maybe Marketplace, but it's kind of, they don't search it till they need it. So how do you show up in the right place? That's the equation I'm working on for my business. For 10 seconds about the podcast, I'm asking again this episode. Follow or subscribe wherever you listen to this episode. That will help us greatly. Adam, we want to welcome you to the Rent It Out podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
Wonderful. To get started today, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're renting out?
Yeah, so my name is Adam. On YouTube, I am the Tent Guy, and that kind of explains it right there. I rent out tents primarily, but then everything that goes under them and accompanies the parties.
What got you interested in tents?
When I was in college in Buffalo, I had a roommate who worked for a company that was out of Rochester and Buffalo, and occasionally I would go with him to set up tents and just make a little bit of money. But that was literally just like move this, hammer that. I didn't know anything. And then, every summer you come home and people get jobs. So I used that reference. That wasn't much of a reference, but it was enough to get into a local party rental company called Taylor Rental. They're kind of nationwide, but that got me in there. And then I started seeing invoices and I was like, this is how much they're making for this tent that we're putting up. I can do this. So that was going in my last year of college. And like a month before leaving college, I was like, I'm going to start a tent rental company. So I maxed out a bunch of credit cards, cashed in the bonds that I got for my birthday every year. And I bought 3 tents. And this was back before websites were even big. So everything was in the yellow pages. And my local area has a thing called, had a thing called the Penny Saver, which was just a classifieds newspaper. So that's all I did. And I had 3 tents and I used my mother's SUV and I brought them all around and set them up. And then during that time, I worked 80 plus hours a week at a gas station overnights and cleaning hotel rooms. So I could save up enough money to buy 10 tables and 100 chairs for the next summer. And then from there, it just kept going.
Oh, yes. So you started it, you got out of college and bought those tents right out of college?
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah. Yes. What made you think this is going to work in your area?
Honestly, I wasn't thinking. This was never going to be a career. This was just like, hey, this would be cool for some extra money.
Oh, yeah.
And for about 5 years, it was cool for extra money. Just, being 22, 23 and having thousands of dollars in cash every month. I was just going to, the carnivals and just having fun, taking girls out and whatnot. It was just on the side. I never put any thought into it. There was no like, I wonder if this is going to work in the area. It was just, I just did it. And then I just kept doing it.
But let's jump back on that first rental. How'd it go for you? What did it look like? You have anything go wrong?
No, a lot did not go wrong the first few years because I just had 3 tents and I was a lot cheaper than everyone because I was in that mindset of being fearful of not getting the stuff out. So I think I was just attracting customers who were not the kind to complain because I was just so
Oh,
cheap.
yeah.
Things didn't start going bad or like having nightmares until getting bigger and adding big things. So like my first 5 years, it wasn't stressful. The only thing that would have been stressful ever was this was before GPSs, so it was MapQuest. It was like I have to go map out everything, and if you mess something up in a 5-stop delivery, you're lost. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a different time of traveling before we had GPS.
yeah,
When you mentioned about starting out with 3 tents, how many tents do you have now?
see, okay, that is a question that everyone asks, and because it's people think it's a gauge on how big you are. It is not. I think I have less than 30 tents. I don't even count my tents. I don't know. It's really not what the tents. It's the what goes under the tents. So you could have 30 tents and just do tents, but you're not going to make. I mean, you're going to make money, but like if you don't have a dance floor and lighting and restroom trailers and all that stuff, you're not making money. The tent is like the sandwich bread, and everything else in it is the meat. The tents come and go. They're so fragile that they're not lasting
Right,
30
yeah.
years. Tables last 30 years when you buy the right ones. So, yeah, I have less than about 30 tents, but it's more so everything else.
So how long into it did you go before you start adding stuff under the tents?
So I was that summer when I was doing the tents, I worked 80 plus hours a week to buy the first tables and chairs for next summer because I was saying yes to future jobs. And I accidentally
yeah.
grew because I was just saying yes to things. People were like, "Oh, can you do this size? Can you do this?" And I just said yes because I got 6 to 9 months to figure it out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it puts you in maybe some uncomfortable situations because you said yes to some stuff you maybe shouldn't have, but the learning is so great because you pushed yourself.
Yes, and there was a lot of uncomfortable situations, but I never went back on anything. Like I never did not complete. Like it would either be I did buy it or I found another company to rent it from to complete the job.
Oh, yes. You mentioned 30 tents, but that's not a good gauge. Can you tell us the extent of your operation? I know when I watch you on TikTok, you've got all kinds of things you rent out.
Extent as in everything that I have or how much?
Just what you have. Specific numbers aren't great at this or aren't that important to me right now because just kind of getting a gauge and what all you're doing with your operation now.
Yeah. The main stuff is the tents, tables, and chairs. But with the tents, there's sides, and customers don't know until they call that you don't get the sides. Like you just drive by, you see a tent and it has sides on it. So you think it's just attached.
Oh, yeah.
It's not, it's an extra. So that's a lot of money right there. The lights, various kinds of lights, dance floor, and then it's various kinds of chairs from a very basic party to, a really nice one. So I got all that stuff. And then a big one is restroom trailers. That's a portable trailer or a portable restroom that looks nice, flushing toilet, running water, AC, things like that. So like, a person in a wedding dress does not want to be going into a porta potty. I used to do a lot of catering equipment, but I got tired of the caterers because the equipment is not made to bounce around in a truck. It's a convection oven and fridge.
Oh, yes.
When you open them up, it's like a computer server in there. It's so stupid. And it's bouncing around in a truck. So like I was tired of the Saturday phone calls, like the oven's not working. And that is a big deal. You can't ruin a 200 person wedding because the oven's not working. So the last 3 years I did take kind of a hit because I was doing like 150,000 a year in catering equipment, but it was making my life suck ass. So I got rid of that stuff.
Yeah, that sounds good. I know I have not rented a tent, but last summer my niece got married and my brother rented a tent and catering was there, chairs, tables, dance floor. I mean, it was just amazing what all he rented to use for it.
Yeah, you're building a temporary building in someone's field or yard.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned early on you use Yellow Pages to find your customers. How you find your customers now?
It's all Google Ads. This is a search-based business. So like putting up a billboard or paying for radio, that is not going to all of a sudden make someone be like, "Oh, let me have a party." It's
Oh, yeah.
They are having a party in the future, so they go into Google and search, and you're paying Google Ads to be the first one to show up, kind of thing. So it's not like a plumber who, like, you go by the billboard every day and then you have a plumbing issue and you might remember that guy. Or it's not like a bar or restaurant where they're trying to get you in, like convince you to come in with billboards or radio or TV ads. This is entirely search based.
Do you do anything beyond Google Ads?
No.
Just
Well,
Google
yeah,
Ads.
at least one phone call a day for like, you want to be in this paper and this magazine, you want to be on the back of this golf bench. And I just tell them all, like, this is entirely search based. I would waste my money with you.
I put a little ad for my trailer rental business in some menus just here close because I thought I'd just see what it does. I've yet to have anybody tell me they saw it there.
Right. With the restroom trailers, though, a lot of people don't know they exist. So I don't pay for ads, but I do a lot of Facebook and I do Facebook Reels. So if you just post on Facebook, it's only the people who follow your page will see you. But if you make it into a reel, when people are just scrolling through, you might pop up.
Do you also do that with your tents and other stuff?
Yeah, I'm not that good at keeping up with it. Yeah.
How many employees do you have? Because I'm assuming you're not lugging all that around by yourself now.
No, they're in the middle of the season, from May to October. There is 6 road crew and 1 office manager.
Oh, yeah.
So 7, and then myself.
Do you get to still do the deliveries and set up tents?
Yeah, so for the past 3 years, I kind of haven't as much because I bought a wedding venue and we were rehabbing that. But yeah, when I am working, I am one of the crew leads. I'm actually not that good on the phones. My office manager can do a quote with someone over the phone. They never even see the quote. He tells them everything and then says, "You want to book this now? I can handle it over the phone." And they do. I'm always like, "Okay, I sent you the quote," and then I wait. So he's a lot better at that stuff. I am good being on the road, and I am good at company culture kind of thing. So like everyone that works for me or has ever worked for me said it was the best job ever because like
Nice.
I make fun of their moms. They make fun of my mom. We just, bust each other's balls because we're on the road. We're in trucks all day. And so like, it's a fun atmosphere. And I think if I just had a manager doing that part, the company culture wouldn't be as fun.
Yeah, and it's excellent. Lean on your strengths there, and something you're not as good, let someone else do that.
Yeah.
On your tents, I know you've got lots going on, but on your tents, what's the pricing structure look like for them?
So you try to get back any sort of rental item, 10 rentals to make your money back.
Oh, okay.
Not including labor and stuff like that. Now, every market is different. Like if you're going to be in Houston, Texas, they might get double the amount that I get for a tent, but that's probably because their warehousing is more expensive and whatnot. So try to do it within 10 rentals. But what really makes it is the market. There can be a bunch of guys who are smaller who are like really undercutting, but that, yeah, they'll get their tents booked up first and then they're done. And then everyone's going to call the next company, which is then going to be me, and then have to go with my pricing, which we don't gouge or anything. So you kind of base the price on your market, the people that are similar to you.
Do you use that rule of a tenth of the purchase price for your items that's going under the tents as well?
Yep, it's pretty much everything. So if a tent was $1,000, which they're not, you would price it at $100. So like, I think like the cheapest tent, a 20 by 20 tent, you can get some that are $1,000, but they're like a little less quality. So like all in with the top and the poles and the stakes and everything, you're looking at least 2,000, if not a little more. So I'm at 225 for that, or 250 for that small tent. So it's about 10. It's not always exact. Sometimes you make it back in 8. Sometimes you make it back in 12.
Right, but
that's
it's a
the
good
goal.
rule of thumb. On your tents, you mentioned a 20 by 20. Size range of tents do you have or do you offer?
So the smallest one is a 10 by 10, and then 15 by 15. And those are kind of like one-offs. They don't go out that often. 20 by 20 is your basic tent, which most people would start with. It's 20 by 20, 20 by 30, 20 by 40. And you call those 20 wides. And then you move into 30 wides, which would be 30 by 40, 30 by 60. And then you move into 40 wides. And the 40 wide that I have is sectional. Actually, all 40 wides are sectional. So it can be 40 by 40, 60, 80, 100, and it can keep going. Some companies do their 30 wide sectional too. So you can do 30 by 30 and keep going. But putting the sections together takes a long time. So anything 30 wide, I like one piece, and 40 wide, you have to, because it'll just be too heavy to roll that up and move it around. So you have to do sections. My market is not that huge, but there's other companies you can get into 60 and 70, 80, 100, 120 foot wide. You can get massive.
Tents I've been in 40 foot wide. It's hard to imagine tents even wider than that.
Yeah. And they're very expensive to buy and then very expensive to rent.
How long does it take for you to put a tent up?
So my 40 by 100, which is the biggest, we can get up in 2 hours, but I did invest heavily into equipment to help that move faster. Usually when someone starts out, they're going to be there 4 or 5 hours trying to put that tent up until, yeah. So we can do an entire wedding and we can be there for about 6 hours, hour and a half to 2 hours to put up the biggest tent, and then a few hours to do everything underneath and the lights and whatnot.
Just on that equipment, what equipment did you start with to put it up with, and what do you have now?
Started with nothing. It was hammers and carrying everything and like really crappy hand carts. And then I was fortunate enough, when I started to get serious, I subscribed to like a newsletter. And the first newsletter that came out was like, do you want to buy more equipment and bust your ass even more to make more money, or do you want to make more money from what you're already doing? Well, here's how you do that. And basically it's you can get jackhammers and other stake drivers. I got really nice 4-wheeled hand carts, and now I have powered hand carts, stake pullers. We put chairs on wheels, so like loading them from the warehouse to the truck is just push them. And a lot of times on the ground you can push them. And yeah, just stuff to make you more efficient, so you can do the same number of jobs each day but get done quicker, which then would allow you to add more jobs or just take more profit from what you're already doing.
With going to the jobs, you mentioned earlier, if you're going somewhere and that didn't route you there, it causes a problem because you may have a few jobs stacked up. Do you have the equipment to haul multiple jobs to deliver them and go through and set them up, or is you're running one trip to a job, setting it up, going back and getting something else?
In the beginning, yeah, it was just my mom's SUV. Then I had a pickup truck. Then I had a pickup truck with a trailer. But right now, well, ever since I got bigger, it is most party rental companies rent their trucks every year. I do own one, but in the peak of the season, I get the biggest truck you can get, the 26-foot box truck, and you just rent it. That friend that I went to college with, he has a party rental company too, much bigger city that he actually lives in. He's got 150 employees and rents about 30 trucks each summer. And there's no reason for him to buy 30 trucks because that would be a wasteful expense. There's no reason for me to own 3 trucks. I own the one for side deliveries and winter deliveries. And then I have the big trucks. And yeah, the big trucks can do the whole day.
You mentioned you have X number of tents now, and you mentioned that a 20 by 20, about $2,000. I think that was what you'd said.
Yeah.
and you go up. What's kind of the price range for tents?
Yeah. So
They go up as high as you want.
yeah, there's ones you can get a 20 by 20 on a few sites for like $1,200, and there's nothing wrong with that. You do that and start making money, get cash flow. That tank gets destroyed in 2 years, and then then you buy another one. But you're just getting cash flow, getting money in. But yeah, I'd say like the good ones, 20 by 20 is going to start $2,000. My 40 by 100 is like $40,000 to buy. I have a 40 by 80 frame tent that we have up at our wedding venue, and that was $52,000. And then that friend from college, he's got tents that was like $4 million to buy because it's a double decker tent. And
Oh,
yeah, so that was a lot of money.
didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, it's different than the tents you've seen. It's more like you build an entire platform and then a tent goes on top of it. So like the bottom part isn't technically a tent, but it still is because it's all a tent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. With your looking at a month now, I know you're much bigger. You have tents. What kind of revenue do you do with that many tents that's contributed to the tents?
Through the tents. I don't have my rental program here, but I can tell you the last time I looked over 22 years, it was $1 million in just tents. So
Oh, wow.
what is that? I don't know. It might have even been more.
Yeah.
I don't, maybe I'm not remembering, but each year, at least it's 200,000 of it is the tents. And then the rest is everything else.
Yes. When you got started, what kind of revenue were you bringing in back then when you were working a job and doing it?
Yeah, it was around $25,000 as a 22, 23-year-old cash.
So a pretty good amount.
Yeah. That's why my friend in Rochester started, because that company he worked for, he was basically running the company, but they work you like a dog. They didn't give him any sort of benefits or whatever, and he wasn't getting salary or anything. And so he was like, oh, you're making that much just doing it on the side? I'm going to do it. And then, but he's been in the business since he was like 15, so he knew a lot. So he like blew up really fast. And then I was like, oh, you're doing weddings? Let me see your books. And he showed me his books, and he's like, okay, I'm going to do weddings too. So like, I kind of got him going, and then he got me going more.
It's really good when you have someone that you can talk to and work with and bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, and actually this business, most of your competitors are not like mean to you. Like everyone kind of gets along because you all need each other. Like there's no reason for me to turn down like a $5,000 job because I'm short 5 chairs. I'm going to call up my competitor and be like, I need 5 chairs, and they'll do the same.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can learn a lot from the people around you as well.
Yeah, a real benefit with the trailer rentals. I've talked to numerous people who's doing them in my area, and that's really, really nice to have that community around that.
Yeah.
You mentioned some numbers. What kind of numbers end up going, or what kind of percentage ends up being profit?
If you run it efficiently, which I've tried really hard to do, that's the main thing I focus on. Each job can be, well, not each job, I'd say each week can be about 30% profit. If you are trying to do everything by hand, you're probably going to be closer to 12.
And that's because you're figuring in labor at accurate prices?
Yeah. And delivery too. Like there's a company near me who does basically the same amount of stuff, but they need to take 3 trucks and 3 trailers to do a job. And then they need to send a truck back the next day just to do the dance floor. Yeah. So I try to make more money, more profit from the things I'm already doing.
I did not even think about the multiple trips if you can't haul it all out there in one time. So yeah, that's an excellent point. Going through this, what are some things that's gone wrong for you that you didn't expect?
Weather is a huge thing in this business. So like when you first start, you can't get the biggest steaks. You don't get the best poles, and then a tent comes down and you're like, okay, I need to buy more stakes. Instead of 30 inches, I need 48-inch stakes. And then even then, you're using one stake per pole. And then you learn about stake bars, which is a bar with 3 holes. So it transforms the power of one stake into 3. And now your tents stay up. So it's a lot of weather was the big thing. And then another thing is you just don't know what you don't know. So I've gotten hit with fines and stuff like that. And being a DBA to begin with, and then change to an LLC, and then change to an S Corp so that you can pay yourself a salary instead of getting hit with self-employment tax, 15% self-employment tax and whatnot. So you just don't know what you don't know running a business. So that's been the biggest thing. There's a lot of bad customers, but you just don't rent to them again. And you kind of solve the problem. I have a thing on my contract, which I call the stupid people section. It's like I came back from a job. I'm like, well, we got to add this to the contract because those people are stupid. We got to stop other people from being stupid. And then just employees, like someone calls in on your biggest day and that sucks. But
Oh, yeah.
it's just the normal business stuff, and employee stuff is the hard part of the business, any business really.
They always are, it seems.
Oh, I'll
ahead.
add one thing. When you're in a rental business, whether it's bounce houses or games, or maybe even trailers, you're always going to see something that you think is cool and will rent out. And then you spend a bunch of money on it and then no one rents it. So my biggest mistakes, besides the normal business stuff, have been investing in things that just did not go out. I didn't understand my market well enough. My market is very basic. There's only a certain level that they're willing to go. And anything above that, they may want, but once you tell them the price, they're like, oh, never mind. So I should have just stayed more basic instead of trying to do some of the like fancier high-end gold, silver things.
How would you have avoided those mistakes?
I think that's just time, like, because I do a test where I put things on the website before I buy them. And we would get calls for those fancy things to see. But that test only takes you so far when they don't see the total price because you don't have it. So you just tell them like, oh, that's available next year, or I don't have it available that weekend. It only took you so far. So things like that was trial and error.
Yes, yeah. As you think about your business right now, what's your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge has been and always will be weather. You just put up a tent and really bad weather comes in and you have to make the decision. Are you going to cancel the person's big wedding? Are you going to go in the middle of the wedding and take the tent down? And then the other is employees. If you have younger employees, they go back to school or they go back to college. That's always a problem for a party rental company.
So for like the weather issues, do you have kind of a rule of thumb you follow that you're like, if it gets, I'm not even sure what those criteria would be, but if they hit that, then we're off?
Yeah, it's really, I've got it down so good and I got really nice equipment that we can withstand bursts and lengthy bursts of bad weather. But if you remember Hurricane Katrina, which I forget what year that, 2008, that was too much. It came up and reached me and took down some tents. Actually, this last summer, I had 3 tents destroyed we had 2 tornadoes hit in our area, which is like unheard of. But no one was hurt. And it was the day after the party or the night of when people already left. But that was just like, boom, here it is. There was no like being able to call them and say, hey, get out of the tent, or hey, we're coming and get it. It was done. And then I had to deal with it.
Yes. If someone wanted to start doing what you're doing, how would they start?
I'm going to self-promote here. You can watch my YouTube channel called The Tent Guy. And there's no order to any of the videos or whatever, but you can learn about 80% of the business. Or if you want to fast track it, I did actually make a course called, it's at www.startapartyrentalcompany.com. And then it's like 60 hours long. I hate people that make courses generally because most of them are scammers and shitty. So like I stressed too much to make it good. But beyond those, you can go work for a party rental company in your area to learn the basics. You can work for a party rental company outside of your market and say you'll work for them for free for a little bit. But the number one way is pay for the knowledge, whether that's a course or you pay another party rental company to go set up with them further away than your market or whatever. There's been other ventures in my life where I would just like, screw this. Like, I'm not going to spend 5 years learning this. I'm going to pay this dude $1,000 to learn it. And more recently, I was willing to pay a guy $5,000 to learn something, and he was scared and he didn't want to do it. And now I'm doing it, and I'm his direct competition, but he could have made $5,000 off of me. But anyways, yeah, I think finding a mentor or getting hands-on, paying someone to be hands-on or whatever is the way to do really anything. It's going to save you lots of money.
You've got to get that education one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah. I estimate, well, actually, I used to say I made $250,000 in mistakes, so you don't have to. But recently there was a big mistake, and now it's up to like $300,000 in mistakes, so you don't have to.
Oh, wow. You care to share what that mistake was?
Yeah, so I constantly check my insurance because you have to change insurance every so often because you'll just keep getting increases every year. But I was not checking my credit card processor. I was just taking it as is. And then finally, with the advent of ChatGPT, I just entered in everything in there. And the AI was like, wow, you're basically paying 13%. There was the percentage, and then there was all their fees. That, one year they had this fee, another year they had that fee. And that was about 6 years of fees, maybe $90,000. So $250, maybe $350,000 in mistakes. So I immediately changed credit processors, and now I'm down to 3%. So yeah, that was a huge mistake. You don't feel it every year, but when you were like, oh, in 6 years, I lost $100,000 because of this credit card company that just had all these hidden fees.
Ouch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the good part is you found that, you identified it, and you've fixed it.
Yeah.
Adam, before we go to the famous 4 questions, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
This is one of the few businesses that, when I say this, I'm going to say rentals in general. What you rent, bounce houses, party stuff, restroom trailers. It is one of the few businesses that you can bootstrap yourself to be a millionaire. Yeah, start small, 1-2 things, and then you keep adding more. And for the first 5 years, you hustle and just work as much as you can, and then keep adding more stuff. And then one day, you don't need to hustle as much, and you don't need to keep adding as much inventory in. And you can become as big or small as you want to be. But party rentals and equipment rentals is one of the few things you can start small and end up a millionaire.
I like that philosophy. Adam, it's time for our famous 4 questions. They're the same 4 questions we ask of all of our guests. Our first question, what's your favorite tool for your business?
Jackhammers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Putting in the stakes.
I could see that takes out some physical work and makes it a lot easier. And even with that, a jackhammer is not easy to run.
No, but it used to take an hour and a half to put in 70 stakes, and now it takes 10 minutes.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Right.
What is your favorite book, podcast, or resource that has helped you with your rental business?
I have never been a book person for education stuff. I fall asleep. Also, I never really wanted to be influenced by what they say, because who says they're the expert on anything? So it's been more like YouTube. And it's not just like,
oh, yes,
this one person. Like, I might watch a power washing guy or a roofing guy or whatever. And you learn something from all of those businesses. And then you can take what you think is good and what's not.
Yes, very good. The third question, what would you tell someone just getting started with rentals?
This is not get rich. I did say you can bootstrap yourself to be a millionaire, but you're going to be working in the rain, in the heat. You're going to hurt yourself. In the beginning, there's going to be a bad work-life balance. You're going to have to suffer a lot. I've never said that this is get rich quick, but this is get rich slowly and hard. But if you keep at it, you're done. You've won life. In 15 years, you've won.
Very good. And lastly, where can people find out more about you and what you do?
On YouTube, where everything's free, it's The Tent Guy. And my website for all the various courses for party rental related is startapartyrentalcompany.com. And then lastly, I am on TikTok, which only part of that stuff is tents. It's more any way to make money. And it's called Real World Side Hustles on TikTok.
Yes, and TikTok's where I found you. Well, Adam, I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Something that Adam said that really stuck out to me is he said that this is one of those few businesses you can bootstrap your way to $1 million. Start small, add inventory, struggle for a few or a lot of years, and eventually you look up and realize you built something real. He didn't say it was easy. He said it was slow and hard. But that's what stands out to me. Everyone you hear on this show just kept going. If this episode helped you, share it with someone who's been thinking about starting a rental business. For next episode, I'm doing something a little different. I'm stepping back from the interviews and I'm breaking down what this rental side hustle model actually is and why it works. This is a Rent It Out podcast. If you are waiting on the perfect time to start, this is it. List it, rent it, repeat.